Hello everyone, welcome to Urbanscape Bangalore, and in this episode we will be looking at some top garlic vine growing tips. So I have extensively covered this plant in another video where I had reported a small plant that has turned out to become this gorgeous bloom of purple goodness which I'm so proud of. So a lot of you ask me about its care tips again and again. So I've gone through most of your questions and I've compiled 5 important growing tips to keep this plant alive and more importantly keep this blooming year after year. So here we go. Tip number 1, sunlight. So let me tell you what my sunlight situation with this plant is. So the root bit of the plant is under semi-shade and the upper parts of the plant is exposed to full sun because I've trained it over this wall. So if you can grow this in ground under full sun, go ahead. If you have semi-shaded locations, make sure that somehow you train the plant to reach out to full sun, and that is one important factor to keep your plant blooming every year. Tip number 2, watering. Water the plant every day during summer and make sure you reduce watering during winter when the soil tends to retain more water due to lack of evaporation. Tip number 3, fertilizing. So I swear by my organic feeding routine. I only use compost, or even more simple is to use kitchen waste. Ensure that the kitchen waste has used tea leaves or coffee grounds, eggshells and other veggies and fruit peels as you deem fit. If you're lucky enough to collect banana peels, then nothing like it. Add it as much as you want because banana has potassium and phosphorus in it, which helps the plant with blooming. Avoid using citrus peels. Additionally, you can add well decomposed cow or goat manure once every 2 months during the spring to summer months. Do not fertilize during winters when the plant is resting. Tip number 4, potting mix. I have used a slightly different potting mix in the old video, but the basic point remains. You need to use a well-draining mix with some amount of garden soil if you have. So the ideal mix I would swear by would be 40% sand, 40% compost, 20% garden soil or coco peat. I get my sand from a local builder who sells manufactured sand only to me. If you don't get sand, you can use vermiculite. Tip number 5, pruning. Now the plant tends to shed leaves and go into dormancy during winter. So pruning the old and dead branches will add that energy back into the plant and will trigger the growth of new branches that will hold these garlicky smelling blooming extravagance. The plant will bloom at least twice in a year, so do the pruning once you see the plant has finished blooming completely. So now let's look into some salient features of this plant. This is a rain-loving plant and is a monsoon bloomer, at least in tropical places like India. Pests don't attack the plant so much because the very garlic smell is a turn-off for many garden pests. But you can see ants crawling in and out of the flowers, but they don't seem to cause any damage to the blooms. The flowers are used as a substitute for the real garlic and is edible. So do not go on a date night after pruning this plant or touching the blooms, but yes, a quick washing of hands may help too. The more the opportunity you give this plant to climb on a support, the more it will grow bigger and bloom even better. So a support in the form of a wall or a trellis is absolutely important. Growing this in the ground is the best thing you can do, but if you like me don't have that luxury of large spaces, then always go for a bigger container to grow this plant and it will thank you. It can easily be propagated with stem cuttings, seeds not as much since I haven't seen seeds on this plant, or maybe I miss seeing it, I don't know. So a stem cutting can do the job very easily and probably I'll keep that hanging for another video. From buds to blooms, they change color as they grow older, and what more can a gardener ask for from a single plant that does not bloom throughout the year, but when it finally blooms, happiness looms. So with this, we've come to the end of yet another episode of Urbanscape Bangalore, and if you have any questions regarding this plant, you can always ask me by commenting below. Additionally, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The links will be given below. Thank you for watching, and until we meet again, a very warm goodbye.